Welcome to Let's Talk Jonesboro. Today we have Kimberly Chase, and Kimberly, you used to know her as director of the Hub, and you're still director of the Hub,
I am.
but there's new information.
Yes, exciting information.
What do we have?
So the Hub is in the process of opening a supportive women's home in downtown Jonesboro. We have formed a new partnership with Southwest Church of Christ, and we are moving forward, opening a home for about 8 women.
Very nice, and that's and I think you mentioned this is a little bit different than some of these other services that are provided. Of course, the Hub stands for Helping the Underserved Belong,
Right.
and so you've been doing work for these the needy for at least 4 or 5 years now,
Yes,
right?
since actually 2017.
Oh my, yeah,
Yes,
6
yeah.
years, okay.
Yeah.
So you are now getting into, you've got a partner that
Right.
will allow you to have overnight shelter. So
Right.
what separates it from some of the other services such as Salvation Army and the
So,
other homes?
sorry, we're not going to be an emergency shelter, meaning the women of the house will not be lining up the door every day. They will only get residency through referrals. It's a longer term home where we teach them life skills. We have an education component where we could help them get with their GED. Substance abuse, although it's not a strictly sober living home, it is a component. There will be a mental health component because what we know to be true is most of the time homeless people also suffer from mental illness and substance abuse, and we want to address all of their needs in that home so that once they complete our program, they never have to return to the street.
Mm-hmm. And it's if it were a simple issue, it would have been resolved a long time ago in so many cities across the country and indeed the world. But Jonesboro it's always been something that makes it a little more difficult, and we're seeing it here. We're not that small of a community anymore, but even the small communities, you're seeing homeless and panhandling. One of the things that we recommend is to donate to services such as the Hub and other charity organizations rather than people on the street, because this ensures that the money gets in the right hands.
Right.
And so tell us exactly how someone can donate to the Hub and help you guys.
So we still will have our Facebook page, and people can donate through that. We are in the process of creating a new website, and people will be able to donate through that because we are partnering with Southwest Church of Christ, and we will be encouraging the women to develop a relationship with Christ. They can donate through Southwest Church of Christ. So lots of ways that you can donate.
That's good service right there. What do you tell people when they say, we're seeing more people, I guess, panhandling is the expression. Is that, there's some concern about whether that's homeless or whether it's not, and you have, I think some people give all they can, and some are suspicious that money is not going to a good place.
Right.
So is that redundant, or what are you seeing?
I know that when we were doing our street outreach program, we stopped and talked to anybody that we saw. Most of the time, the panhandlers were not the people that we saw at the Hub. There were times that they weren't homeless, and that's unfortunate because I think when people see people panhandling, they automatically assume that that person is homeless when that's not the case. And you're absolutely right that you would rather somebody give to an agency who can use those funds to reach people.
And that's the unfortunate thing. But it's not a new situation. People have always wanted to take advantage of opportunities. Opportunists, I guess, are the problem. We have a homeless issue, and then we have an opportunist issue. And just know, when you give money to a panhandler or clothing, I've seen food and clothing thrown in the trash can immediately, because that's not what the person is looking for. The homeless are known to the people like Kim in this benevolent community, who work with the truly homeless and those who are in serious need. And that is why even though it's your kind heart, it's not in the best interest of you, that person, or the community to give to panhandlers.
Right.
Instead, please go to the providers, the nonprofits, such as the Hub. And speaking of, you said you've been around 5 or 6 years now, and I know you've worked on shoestrings and prayers and donations. And tell me about what you went through during COVID and how you maintained the Hub through all this time.
So I started at the Hub in June of 2020, which was when COVID was raging, and we stopped letting people in our office. But our community is so giving. We had so much support during COVID. A lot of people donated more food to us so that we could give our homeless the food. They knew that we had started our Feed Local program, which took money, so they donated money to us to keep that program going. So really, you're right. I'm not really sure how we made it, other than the generosity of our community. I think with most nonprofits, we struggled to modify our program so that we could stay open and provide new services to address new or bigger issues that hadn't been such an issue before, like food insecurity. For us, that was a bigger issue because our care center closed next door to us, and they had been providing the food. And so when they closed, and that was a need that we knew that we could take care of. And so, through the support of our community, we've been able to continue that program.
And that's a great example. Sometimes what motivates me is a story, an anecdote, a success story, and without divulging a name or whatever, can you think of one particular instance or one person that you knew you could help and who really needed it, and you knew how to help?
Well,
you
there's
could probably
been,
think of dozens, but does anything stand out?
There's a few people that had been homeless for quite a while, and certainly during COVID, we saw more people struggling because everything had shut down. But a lot of the other agencies like Crowley's Ridge, they continued to provide services. So there were a few people that got into housing. There was this one gentleman in particular. He was older, and at that time we were doing lunches outside. It was during COVID, and I just randomly asked him one day, "Hey, have you ever tried to work with Crowley's Ridge for rental assistance?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Well, what if we facilitated some work for you? Like, we could get with them and have them help you and figure something out." And he said he would love that. And he's in housing, and he's still in housing. There was another gentleman that we found when we were doing our annual day of counting our homeless. And we found him on the street, and he got into got into housing, and he's still in housing. So yeah, those are the stories that keep you going.
Yeah, that's great. That's great, and that's important. So tell us, like, when you're going to open, what the plans are. What's the situation on the ground right now?
So right now, they are renovating the house. We are on track to have it open about mid-August, and we are planning to start taking women. We can take 8 women. They will need to be committed to making changes in their lives and allowing us to help them with that. Our plan is to have a strong mentoring program so that our women are not doing things by themselves. So yeah, we're on track for the middle of August. Very excited.
You know, and you're an example. There's so many nonprofits and that do so much for this community. It just shows you what a giving community it is. But with Kimberly or Miss Chase, I should call you. Sorry, we're friends. But you and the volunteers that you have, and this comes from a deep place in the heart. This is a passion, because you would have walked away from it out of frustration if it had not been correct.
Right. It's not an easy job.
It's not for everybody.
Right.
But if you were looking for volunteers or help, how could they contact you, and what should they expect?
So I still have my cell phone, and I'm happy to give out that number. If you're interested in volunteering at the house, we do ask that it be a woman. My number is 870-919-3996. And I'm keeping a list, and as we get closer to our opening, we will have training. We're not going to just expect you to hit the ground running. There's training all the way around, education, so we want to help these women make positive changes in their lives.
And see them get on their feet again, because that's what everybody really wants down deep. So. The hub has transformed, obviously, now with this partnership, but any other ways that we need to know about?
So the hub is not doing lunches. We will not be providing IDs and birth certificates for our general homeless population in Jonesboro, although I know that there are agencies out there who are willing to help with that. I still am planning to give referrals, and homeless can still contact us, and we are more than happy to point them in the right direction.
Wonderful, wonderful. She's Kimberly Chase, Executive Director of the Hub, with the new partner of Southwest Church of Christ, and they're going to provide homes for 8 homeless women. And thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.